Hallo, ek is Eti. Welkom by my kanaal waar ons als saam doen. In today's video, I teach you the Afrikaans words for meanwhile, meantime, while, as long as, between, and during. Let's dive right in with terwyl. Terwyl, like most of the other words in this video, can have more than one meaning. A lot of the translation would be paraphrasing. So we'd say sometimes even freely translated, but the most common use for terwyl would be while, and then also whilst and whereas. Let's look at the examples. Ek gaan lees terwyl jy slaap. And that literally just means I am going to read while you sleep or while you're sleeping. Pretty simple. And that is mostly the translation for terwyl would be while. Hy werk hard terwyl jy heeldag slaap. He works hard while you sleep all day. Or he works hard whereas you sleep all day. It's that little bit of a difference when you translate it. It could be either while or whereas. I would say it's almost like a combination of both. And in English, the meaning is slightly different between while and whereas. Although in the end, it still means while the one is doing this, the other one is doing that. In Afrikaans, you simply use terwyl. Sy hou van honde, terwyl ek katte verkies. She likes dogs, whereas I prefer cats. Or you could also say, she likes dogs while I prefer cats. I think the translation there and the English meaning of whereas in that sentence is closer to what you are trying to say in Afrikaans in that sentence specifically with terwyl. Hy eet al die lekkers terwyl almal slaap. He eats all the sweets while everyone is sleeping. Now we enter treacherous terrain with the word Swank. Swank can be translated as several things, and I feel like even when translated, it doesn't fully encapsulate the feeling and meaning of Swank when we use it in Afrikaans. It gets very close, but it almost feels like there's just a little bit missing still. So the translations are as long as, so long as, in the meantime, and way back in the day it was also used as a word for while. But I think now we just use terwyl. I've never used solank to mean while. So solank means in the meantime, but it's very specifically in the meantime while this is happening over here, that will be happening over there. Or in the meantime while she is busy with this, I will be busy with that. Or while he is taking care of that, I will be doing that over there. So it's very much specifically to this happening here while that will be happening over there feeling. It's almost like in the meantime, but it feels like in the meantime is just missing a little bit still of this very specific meaning. That's just my feeling about this situation. Let's look at the first sentence. Ek gaan solank die kos klaar maak. There's a lot implied there. Right? Ek gaan solank die kos klaar maak. I'm going to finish the food in the meantime. Those two are pretty close. I think in this sentence example, it is that solank is pretty equal to in the meantime. Now, what we do in South Africa is the second example there. I'm going to finish the food so long. I don't know if this is only in South African English, in some parts that we use it this way because of the Afrikaans influence, or whether this is legitimate English. So people, please tell me in the comment section, do you, in other countries where English is spoken as a first language, or a second, if you want to, would you translate that sentence to, I am going to finish the food so long? Do you speak that way in any other country besides South Africa? Because I just have a sneaking suspicion that this is the Afrikaans English and the way we translate and then speak to be as close as possible to the Afrikaans. I might be wrong. In the second sentence example, Jy kan solank hier wag. You can wait here in the meantime. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Then, solank ons saamstem, sal dinge uitwerk. As long as we agree, things will work out. So that is the other meaning of solank. So it can be in the meantime or as long as. As long as we agree, things will work out. Alles gaan goed, solank sy haar sin kry. Everything goes well, as long as she gets her way. Bly solank as wat jy wil. Stay as long as you want. Now, the last sentence there is in red for a reason, because you'll see that bly solank is not one word. That solank is not one word. And this is when we look at time. When you're talking about time, stay as long as, and it's not a condition, because in the previous one, it was a conditional sentence where it's like, everything goes well as long as. So that's a conditional sentence. And the one above, as long as this happens, that will happen. But the bottom one is in connection to time. And if it is in connection to time, bly so lank as wat jy wil. Then so and lank are two separate words. So remember that one. They sound the same in the sentence. Bly so lank, it sounds like so lank. Two words when it's time. Whereas it's one word when we are using it for the as long as in a conditional sentence. Intussen, intussen, or in die tussentyd, or intussentyd. Now, intussen is the one you really want to learn. That one has more meanings when used in Afrikaans sentences than the other two. The other two is only connected to meanwhile, meantime, or in the meantime. Whereas intussen can also mean something else, which we will get to soon. So if you think about intussen and solank means in the meantime, while this is happening over here, that is happening over there. While she cooks, he cleans, right? So solank in the meantime, while two things are taking place. Whatever those two things are, it doesn't have to be an action. But intussen is also in the meantime, but it is in the meantime, between this point in time, point A, and that point in time, point B. So that is the difference. Both is in the meantime, but the one is between two actions or activities or things going on simultaneously. Whereas intussen is two things happening, one at this point in time and then between that thing and that point in time. So I think that is the best explanation I can give to the meaning of the word. So it can mean meanwhile, meantime, in the meantime. And then it can also mean since, depending on what the translation is, what the context is. All right, so the first example, hy het intussen ander planne gemaak, which means meanwhile he had made other plans, or he made other plans in the meantime. So those are the two ways you can use it. Meanwhile, he had made other plans, or he had made other plans in the meantime. Right? Then you get the next example. My ouma is intussen oorlede. Right? So it means my grandma has since passed away. There's a lot of paraphrasing involved in that translation, because intussen cannot always mean since when you translate to English. So when you have English sentences and you see the word since, you cannot always translate to intussen. In fact, mostly you can't translate since to intussen in Afrikaans, except if it's used in this context where grandma has since passed away. So then you're also talking about that time, from that time to this point in time, grandma has passed away. Then that since in English can be translated to intussen. Tussen. Tussen is much more simple. It simply means between. Tussen hier en daar. Between here and there. Ek moet kies tussen die blou en die pink rok. I must choose between the blue and the pink dress. Daar is 'n berg tussen ons. There is a mountain between us. Ek wil nie slegte gevoelens tussen ons hê nie. I don't want bad feelings between us. Just a note on this last sentence. You see the tussen jou en my is translated to between you and I. So in English, it's you and I. That's the correct way of speaking, and not you and me. A lot of people say you and me, but you and I is the grammatically correct way. In Afrikaans, you can't say jou en ek, right? Ek is I, but you can't say jou en ek. In Afrikaans, you and I is jou en my. But then in English, you can't go you and me, because some people do, and so do I. But if you want to speak correctly, then it'd be you and I. So just remember that is why that translation is like that. To continue the mind-boggling situation of tussen, we now have tussenin. Tussenin, one word, means in between. We have tussen, which is between, tussenin, which is in between. So, die spasie tussenin, the space in between. Ek gaan tussenin rus. I'm going to rest in between. My voorkeur is iewers tussenin. My preference is somewhere in between. Die toebroodjie bestaan uit 2 snye brood met 'n worsie tussenin. The sandwich consists of 2 slices of bread with a sausage in between. The last words are gedurende, gedurende and tydens, and they both mean during. I wish I could tell you that you have to use this one in this context and that one in that context, but in fact, I can't. It's not always that clear. Sometimes you can use both. They mean the same thing. For me, I felt my way through it as I learned to speak Afrikaans throughout all of the years. But there's no hard and fast rule about gedurende for this and tydens for that. So let's look at the examples and maybe it becomes more clear. Niemand het 'n punt aangeteken gedurende die eerste helfte nie. Nobody scored a point during the first half. Tydens sy bewind het niemand kos gehad nie. During his reign, nobody had food. Ons speel tydens pauses rugby. We play rugby during breaks. Die restaurant is oop gedurende die dag. The restaurant is open during the day. They mean the same thing. I still can't really reach a difference. There's a little bit of difference in feel. But if you use gedurende and you use tydens, you will be understood perfectly well. What have I just said? Understood. Nobody's going to wonder what you're saying because they mean the same thing. Maybe it's personal preference. If there is a rule about this, I haven't found it yet. But yes, tydens, gedurende. Gedurende has a feeling of during, while something's happening. Very gedurende. It's like along with whatever's happening, together with whatever's happening. Tydens feels like not together with, but also while something's happening, but at some point in time while something's happening. That's what it feels like to me. I might be wrong. Very likely. So, but pop me some questions in the comment section if you have any more questions. And you guys must have an awesome day. I hope this is helpful. As always, please let me know if you have any questions or requests. And I will definitely take a serious look at it and add it to the list. Alright, see you guys in the next video.